Well, hello, everyone. This is take two because I had broadcast earlier and apparently no one could hear me. So, of course, before we begin, I want to give Facebook the opportunity to let my audience know that I am here. And of course, as you are coming in, please let me know if you can hear me so that I know that everything is going well. I felt so bad because I had such great information. And when I went to go back and listen to the broadcast, no one could hear me. So come on in, let me know that you can hear me. I'm actually also going to go on my phone at the same time to make sure people can hear me okay. And definitely comment and let me know if you can hear me. Welcome to this broadcast. Come on in. We're going to talk about a really great topic and talk talk about a really great topic called um, vetting your guest for a podcast show. So, of course, as you come in, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Sonia Keeve, and I am the CEO and founder of Sisters with a Voice Podcast Network. And I help women entrepreneurs get unstuck from thinking about starting a podcast to actually building, launching, and monetizing a podcast in just 30 days. And so, if you have followed me for any amount of time, you know that I absolutely love talking about podcasting and how it can help build your business. But this talk today is for those that you are ready to start your podcast, or perhaps you have a podcast and now you are ready to interview guests for your show. This is an exciting time. And I know that it can be exciting and overwhelming at the same time when you're ready to start vetting, ready to start having guests on your show. But I want to make sure that you have a process in place for actually vetting guests for a podcast. And why is this important? Well, think about it. Your podcast is your brand for your business. You are the host, you are the captain of the ship, and everything that you do matters. And even inviting guests to be on your show. Now, one of the things that most brand new podcasters do right off the bat is they launch that podcast, right? And they tell everyone, I have a podcast show. And so you put it out there on social media, and guess what happens? You get a flood of people that tune in and say, yes, I want to be a guest. And people have different reasons for wanting to be a guest on a podcast show. But what you want to be careful of is you want to make sure that the folks that you invite to be a guest on your podcast actually align to the mission and vision of your show, because it's like inviting a total stranger into your home. How many of us would invite a total stranger into your home? Not many people would do that, right? Most of the time when you're inviting someone into your home, you get to know that person, you establish a relationship with them, whether you become friends or whatever, and then after some time where you feel a level of comfort, then you may go ahead and invite them into your sacred place, your home. Well, with your podcast show, you want to take that same level of care as it relates to vetting a guest. And so, if you currently don't have a process in place for vetting a guest, here are a couple of things that you could consider as it relates to your podcast. The first thing that you'll want to do is you always want to ask for a bio and a headshot. One, the headshot, of course, is for your marketing of your flyer. Okay. But the bio, I always ask for a full bio, because when I have a full bio, then that allows me the opportunity to be able to really get to know this person inside and out. Of course, I'm looking at their topic. Of course, I'm looking at their business. But more importantly, I'm going a little bit deeper. I want to know, what kind of person are they? What are things that interest them? What are the things that their causes and things that they're connected to? Are they affiliated with maybe similar organizations that I may be a part of? Do they have a family? Are they married? Are they single? Are they divorced? Do they have children? These are some things and demographics that I'm looking at because I want to get a picture of that whole person. And so when I'm looking at that bio, that will give you an indication of the kind of person that they are. It doesn't tell you everything, but it gives you a really good snapshot. So definitely ask for that bio when vetting your guests. The next thing that I like to do is I like to go visit their social media presence. So I will ask them, how do you show up on social media? And they'll tell me, well, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. They'll tell me, all their social media platforms. And then I'm taking the time to go visit those platforms because I want to see, how do they interact in their everyday world? Even down to like their foods they like, where do they travel? And also I'm looking for, who else are they connected to? I want to see, do we have some mutual connections? Because let me tell you something, I'm a pretty fantastic individual and I've got some pretty fantastic friends. And so if I see some commonalities with some of the people they're connected to and we have some mutual connections, that always helps. So use that process to kind of use it as a get to know your guest a little bit further. And then thirdly, the thing that I look for when I am vetting a guest is I will ask, especially if they say in their bio that I'm a speaker or I'm an author. So I'm looking for some social proof of that. If you say you're a speaker, then I'm going out on social media. I'm checking out YouTube, checking out maybe their Facebook lives to see what are some of the things that they have talked about in the past. And based off of those things, does the things that they discuss and talk about, do they align, does that topic align to the mission and vision of the show? Because here on Inspiring Nations, which is my podcast show, I look for women that have stories of how they inspire others every day. Now, of course, I tend to sometimes get gentlemen that may want to come on the show, and nothing against my fellas, but my target audience are primarily women. So a lot of times I may have to turn a male guest down because maybe that's, I'm not really looking to introduce that to my audience. Now, I will say, I have had male guests in the past, and it was because they really did align to the mission of my show. So it made sense. So I'm not saying I completely count out guys, but I'm mostly focused on women. But if I do have a male guest that wants to be on the show and their topic aligns to the mission, then I will do that. And then the fourth thing, as I've said the word topic, you want to get from them what type of topics do they want to discuss on the show. Now, on Inspiring Nations, I actually let my guests steer the topic. But before the show goes live, I am vetting that topic. And especially if it's not something that's pretty clear right off the bat from reading the topic, if I have some questions or concerns, I will reach out to my guests and ask them to elaborate for me a little bit more about that particular topic and exactly the direction that they want to go with as it relates to my show. And if we're on the same wavelength, then we can move forward. But I've had some topics where I was confused by what they wanted to talk about. And then when they gave me a further explanation, I still was confused. So then that's when I had to do a little finagling and talk about and give them kind of my mission for the show. And then, and ask them, are there topics that you have talked about before that could align to kind of this mission? And then they usually can give me like two or three additional topics that they could discuss. And then we usually find that middle ground and then it works out well. And so, if you're catching this live, I want to welcome you to this broadcast. And of course, if you catch this in a replay, I definitely want to welcome you as well. And we're talking about today how to vet a guest for a podcast show. And as a podcast host, you are the brand for your show. You are the face of the show. And so you want to take the same care you would as if you were inviting someone into your home. Your podcast is your second home. And so you want to make sure you have a process in place for how you bring guests onto the show. And so, four things that you want to consider: ask for a full bio that will give them and that will give you an indication of the kind of person they are, the things that interest them, the people they're connected to. Number two, you want to go out on their social media pages. Look to see deeper beyond just their titles and their accolades. What do they do in their personal life? Are they married? Do they have children? Kind of get a picture of the kind of person they are to make sure they meet the criteria for your show. If they're number three, if they say I'm a speaker or an author, look for social proof of that. Go check out their videos where they have spoke on stages. If they are an author, go look out and check out their books to see the types of books that they have written. Look at those reviews. Those give you good indication of the feedback and how they're really connecting to the audience. And then number four, if they give you a topic, especially if you allow your guest to drive the topic, if the topic is not clear right off the bat, ask some additional follow-up questions with your guest. What does this, what's the direction they want to take this topic in? And if you need more further clarification, continue to ask questions until you get that clarity. And if you find that that topic doesn't align to the mission and vision of your show, then give them the mission of your show and then ask them to provide additional topics that may fit into the criteria for your show. And if you do this, I promise you, you will avoid any type of surprises, because there's nothing worse than going live and then you haven't vetted that guest and then you're caught off guard. And guess what? You're going to find egg on your face. And that's not a good look for you. And people won't connect to you and you'll lose your listenership. And we never want to do that in the podcasting world. So take the time to vet your guest up front before you go live to prevent any type of surprises, and you'll have a cleaner show. You'll be more comfortable with your guest and the conversation can flow authentically. So thank you so much for watching this broadcast. And of course, before I go, if you are someone who is ready to maybe start and launch your very own podcast and you haven't launched yet, I want to invite you to my next cohort, which will be on August the 7th, 2022. And I only take 10 incredible women who will say yes to launching a podcast. Inside of this cohort, you're going to learn all the tools and resources you need to build, launch, and monetize a podcast in just 30 days. And so don't sit on the sidelines. Don't let fear keep you from stepping out and launching your very own podcast. I have successfully helped women around the world launch powerful podcasts, and I am here to help you take that very next step. So if you're ready to say yes to you, let's have a conversation. You can reach me on all social media platforms at Sonia Keeve, and let's get you registered and secure your seat for the next cohort and launch your podcast in 30 days. Well, thank you so much for tuning into this topic of vetting your guest for a podcast. My name is Sonia Keeve, and I'm the CEO and founder of Sisters with a Voice Podcast Network, where I help women entrepreneurs get unstuck from thinking about a podcast to truly building, launching, and monetizing a podcast in just 30 days. Take care, and I will see you next time.